Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Monday. Maybe we can call it a victory Monday because Texas did Texas did land a transfer over the weekend. Cody, not sure I know what to think about it or what to think about the whole situation in general. We also have some offers flying off the board today to offensive linemen, offensive tackles, specifically from the state of Arizona. So we'll talk about that as well. A couple other things to kind of wrap up here from over the weekend. But let's start out with Matthew Caldwell from Troy. I got to do some YouTube scouting today. I saw that we have access to some all 22 for Troy, but the 2024 game that I have, it's like 380 definition. It was almost impossible to watch. So I watched some stuff on YouTube today. I have some thoughts on the guy. You had a write-up and instant analysis from the portal over on Orange Bloods. What are your general thoughts?
Well, I think he's a below average quarterback that's gotten better each of the last 4 years. He spent a year at Jacksonville State out of high school, 2 years at Gardner Webb, and then this last year at Troy. He had 223 pass attempts this past year, 62% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns and 9 picks, carried the ball 48 times for 47 yards and 5 touchdowns. On which you also take into account that we know that sacks count, but
because he can kind of move a little bit. He can move a little.
He's a pretty nimble quarterback, and I liked one of the things I wrote down that I liked was his ability to kind of like feel the pocket collapse at times and able to just kind of get out of it and then like what's the word I'm looking for? Like recreate a pocket. Like he gets out of the pocket and then finds his base and then keeps his eyes downfield. I thought that was pretty solid. As far as his like pure abilities and pure arm talent, there's some work that needs to be done. Let's just face the facts. He's been in 3 schools in 3 years. And I think that the biggest note that I can say is this guy's got a butt ton of snaps under his belt at the Division I level, right? He's got a game played against Iowa. He went into Kinnick Stadium in Iowa and played Iowa. They lost. He didn't play that good. He was 14 for 21 in that game, threw a pick or two this past year, but he did it. He played that game. When you look at like Trey Owens and KJ Lacey, neither of those guys have played a game against anybody. I mean, Trey Owens has it's like 2 for 4 in his career passing. This guy's got, upwards of 400 pass attempts, at least in college. Yes, it's against, Scrub State and, Alabama Tech A&M and stuff like this, but he played football at the collegiate level. And you have to assume he's picked up somewhat of a playbook because he's played at each of the last 2 schools. He seems like a good kid. The little bit of interviews we've been able to find on YouTube. He was a Sun Belt Player of the Week at one point this past year in the game against Georgia Southern. That same week, he was voted the Manning Award Star of the Week, which of course is
for the Georgia Southern game. That's the one that's the one I've been watching. Maybe
he was offensive player, Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Week that week against Georgia Southern. He was 26. He completed 26 passes on 32 attempts, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And like I said, he also was awarded the Manning Award Star of the Week for that performance. And outside of the word Manning, I don't really know what that award is on a weekly basis. I've never seen somebody earn that award, but he did nonetheless. There was a note that I found from Locked On Auburn that, again, he's from Auburn, Alabama. That's where it's where he's grown up.
Well, there was some scuttlebutt that wasn't there some scuttlebutt.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting to is that there was a report on Locked On Auburn that 5 days ago that Auburn was the predicted team that was going to land Caldwell. He's from Auburn, Alabama. They went out and got Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma. They went out and got the whatever's left of Ashton Daniels from Stanford. We know what happened with that Emmett Mosley tape. And then they got true freshman Deuce Knight, the lefty. It's a good room, but it's a new room, and it's a room that you would assume if a guy like this was going to walk in and to himself believe I'm going to be able to go in and maybe win a job, that might be the room you could go in and win, given what you saw from Jackson Arnold last year.
You're not going to take that job from Jackson Arnold.
No, you're not. You're not. In theory, I get that. But in theory, if you wanted to, this is where the brain has to go. It's like, all right, I'm going to go to Auburn and I'm going to try and compete for that starting job, right? That's where my brain would go. Or am I going to go to Texas and just know that I'm going to be the backup and I'm going to learn and I'm going to pick up that playbook and I'm going to probably get the ins and outs. I'm going to perfect my craft for as good as I can possibly be holding the clipboard. And if I get an opportunity to get my name called, I get my name called. Or if Texas is up 50 plus in a bunch of games, I might get some snaps and some opportunities. Or, God forbid he gets an opportunity to actually play in a game that they need him to play in. But I think picking Texas here is, it tells us that I think his brain, his mind's in the right spot as far as looking for his long-term career. And honestly, dude, the one thing that really like jumped out the screen to me about what I think he needs most help and most improvement with is and I wrote it in my column yesterday, is it's kind of like if you've watched Shador Sanders much the last couple of months, the one thing that people keep knocking him for is he takes a lot of sacks, he holds onto the ball a lot, and he just floats. He just floats, migrates backwards and backwards and backwards, and he's constantly looking to make something. And this kid kind of floats and floats and floats, moves backwards, and he throws off that back foot. And that's, I think, where some of the inaccuracy comes from, or the turnovers that we've seen. He did throw the ball almost 60 yards in the air, but he can get the ball to both sidelines. He's got a strong enough arm, I think, but I'll be interested to see what this staff can do, what he can learn, if we ever see the guy even play, or if it's going to be like a Velton Gardner type situation. I kind of saw some Josh Dobbs in there. I know Dobbs actually played some football in the SEC, but I saw some Josh Dobbs. I think my other comp was like Trevor Siemian. And
Simeon's good.
They're
Got
both pros.
yeah.
The point of the comp wasn't because they're pros. The point of the comp is more so to say, like, that's your Trevor Siemian in the NFL is like what you could expect this kid to be in college. Like, I think he's the definition of a backup, but he seems like he's probably competent enough to go in there with enough talent around him and, keep the thing moving. Probably not excel, but keep the thing moving nonetheless.
When I saw it, like when I just first saw him and just saw his body type, and he's listed 6'4", 215, but he looked, he's a slim guy, right? He's just like when I first saw his body type, the first guy that came to my mind, and this is not a comp for him, but he looks kind of like a Joey Harrington type back there, tall, slim, long arms, long levered, but doesn't have the. I remember, Harrington, whenever that draft when he got drafted by the Lions, and I remember from that draft, I was just like, I had to be what that was that in the 90s?
It was early 2000s.
Okay, well. It was at a point in time where I wasn't following everything as closely as I do now, doing it for a living. But I remember thinking that, man, like that guy's got a big arm. Like I don't think this guy has that kind of arm. Like you said, I think from what I've seen, it's a requisite arm. I don't understand. I don't know if he was not on the same page with some of his receivers, or whether I can blame him. I don't know enough about what that offense was trying to do, or about how maybe guys were in and out of the lineup and stuff like that. But there were some miscommunications for some just terrible picks, dude. I forget which game. I wish I knew which game it was. I'm watching the Georgia Southern one right now. I haven't seen a pick yet in this one, but there was there have been throws in this one where I'm like, dude, that's gonna get picked in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So I worry a little bit about it. I agree with you about sometimes it's hard to tell, like when these guys who consistently reset the pocket, whether that's something that you really, whether it's like, is that good, or does that mean, I guess it's good to be able to operate off platform, but what if you're always putting yourself off platform? It's like, I think that's what you meant about kind of being a floater. I'm not sure it's good. But at least it shows his ability to move around a little bit and to get his wits about him to keep the play carrying on. I'll say this too. I just wonder, would he be? So what's going on with Trey Owens?
I don't know.
It's like it doesn't feel great from kind of the reports from behind the scenes, I hadn't heard much about him during spring ball. We'd heard more about KJ Lacey. I just wonder if this is a response to that. That if
Yeah.
Arch goes down, you want KJ Lacey to be your number 2? But if that's the case, does that mean that Caldwell's your number 2?
Well, I think if Trey Owens felt like KJ Lacey was beating him out, I feel like he would have dipped. No?
I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on with him. Like I truly don't. So and look, it's not about beating him out. It's just like I think that you would have kind of hoped by now or thought by now that at this at this point that he was coming along in a way to where it's like, all right, dude, after Arch gets out of here in the 2027 NFL draft, that Trey Owens is still gonna be around, right? And he's gonna have a shot. He's gonna have all this time, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna have a shot. So he should, like, at this point in his career, he should be in a spot where he's ready to step up and at least be a solid kind of 2. I'm not sure if bringing in this dude, for one, I'm not sure that Matt, even if there are some maturity things or some things where he's where Owens is maybe not giving them everything that they want right now, I'm not sure that Matthew Caldwell is better than Trey Owens.
I'm not sure being better matters.
Well, what is that? What do you mean?
If the Caldwell kid is, again, not a lot of vocals to hear from Caldwell because there's like very little tape from Troy anyway. But I found one interview. It's like if he's at least a little bit of a leader, at least a little bit of a vocal guy, he picks up a playbook well. He seems like one of those guys, Alex, that like you're like, yeah, that guy's probably not going to play for a long time, but he's probably going to coach. And if he's like that, and this guy's been to 3 different schools, I don't know what that means, but he's been to 3 different schools. He's played at 3 different schools. I have to believe that a kid like that's pretty mature. It doesn't seem like he's a guy that's just hopping around because he's, causing trouble. It seems like he's trying to advance his career, and it seems like doing that, going from Troy to Texas would be that.
Yeah.
I feel like his maturity may be part of the understanding, like, this is we're in a yacht right now, right? We're not in a little fishing ski. We're in a yacht. And having a guy that is vastly mature and able to just keep the yacht in a straight line is more important than potentially be like, hey, if the captain goes down, the guy that we're going to have driving the yacht doesn't really know how to drive the yacht to the fullest ability. Like, you may think talent-wise that guy's going to have the abilities, but he's not ready for it. He's not ready for that.
That's my thing, Cody. Shouldn't Trey Owens know what all the buttons do by now? And know it's like you push this button to make sure that the starboard side, you get like he should be able to know all this stuff by now.
Should.
So it's like, I don't know. It just feels
a year ago, Jonte Cook should have been the alpha in the receiver room, right?
Well, I don't think Trey Owens is going around taking the.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying
Jack in the box guy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. A year ago, we thought, boy, Jonte Cook should be the alpha in this offense. Like, we're talking about, we're not talking about a starter. We're talking about a backup in this instance. Like, this backup quarterback should know how everything works. That's the backup's job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. No, yeah.
Bring it that's mentally ready to do that, and that can, like I said, be the Trevor Siemian, be the Case Keenum, be the guy that can just make, like, just white knuckle the thing, but you can keep it on the road. You can keep it straight. You can keep it in your lane, and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, if he wants to go on to be a coach, I think that there's, I think that that's the 200 IQ thing to do is if you want to coach, just come work with Sark, and then hopefully you can stay on as some kind of GA, and next thing you you have that kind of that Sarkisian pedigree attached to you, and it's I think you can pick a lot up from the guy. So we'll see what happens. Look, I mean, we just knock on wood. we just knock on wood that all this stuff is it's like this is an insurance deal, and hopefully the insurance isn't needed, right? But you got to purchase, hope I hope that my family never has to do anything where they're collecting any of my life insurance or anything like that, right? But you never know. One other thing, anybody when you're watching that offense pop off to you at all?
Troy?
Yeah.
No.
Number 3, the running back Damian Taylor.
Was he the one?
Did you watch this guy? This dude is awesome.
I mean, I didn't watch much handoff plays. I watched mostly throws.
Well, like I said, man, I was having to do the YouTube scouting. There's no way I'm going to watch that 380 resolution one from 2024.
Was 3
Damian Taylor.
No, I heard that. Okay, so I thought who's this guy that caught this? Oh, it's 7. Devontae Ross.
Damian Taylor, let me just see. Let me just see what his height weight is. I mean, he looks like he's probably a good 215.
Tuscaloosa County. Oh, he's at Ole Miss now.
He's at Ole Miss now?
He portaled to Ole Miss.
Lane Kiffin, you greasy old dog, you. Dude, hey, he got a good one. He's probably gonna go start. What does he weigh?
5'10", 221, it says.
Oh, dude. I'm telling you, man. Who was that last running? Did Kamani Vidal come from Troy?
Yep.
This guy's much better than Kamani Vidal. They're gonna love him at Ole Miss, dude. That's a good pickup. Anyway, that's the dude. That's the guy that I noticed for sure. That don't know what it says about Caldwell. I don't know what to make of the thing, man. I don't know. I think it's just they felt like their backups are too young. Right? This provides a good mix of a little bit of, I guess, veteran presence. He's just Gardner Webb and stuff. I guess Cam Ward was playing at Incarnate Word and junk like this, but
how many people do you think that Jacksonville State's in Jacksonville, Florida?
I don't think it's in Jacksonville, Florida. Jack State, isn't that where Coach Rich Rod just came from?
Correct. That's why I asked it. I didn't ask if you thought that. I think I know you think it's in where it's at.
I think
it's saying, how many people like in the chat or like in the oh, this kid's at Jacksonville State. Like,
I truly don't know. If I had to guess, you put a gun to my head and make me guess, I would say like somewhere in the Southeast.
So I thought up until about a year ago, when I drove from North Carolina to Austin with my buddy, we drove through Jacksonville State. It's in Alabama.
Yeah, that's part.
And I didn't know that until a year ago, but I did think it was in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's the story on Caldwell. We'll keep our ears open if we hear anything about it. We'll be getting. I guess guys will probably become a lot of these players. It feels like, Cody, are back home with their families this month right now, so we're not even hearing anything about any workouts or guys getting together and stuff like that.
Saw Ant Hill playing basketball against his little brother on Instagram. He was dogging his little brother on Instagram playing basketball.
Yeah. Well, how old is his little brother?
I don't. And maybe 8. Maybe 8, 9, 10, something like that.
It's a big kid for that. Big kid for that age. Golly. I'll bet you Ant Hill's probably taking him some Texas beef traders, trying to help him put some good weight on. Have you been to Texas Beef Traders? It's right there in the heart of Lakeway, right off of Loman's Crossing and 620. You're not going to find a place where there is a better mix of just good people, good quality products, healthy, sustainable, delicious products, and just epic good times. My mom's financial consultant, the person who handles your finances or whatever, your retirement accounts and stuff. She went out there on Friday night. She sent my mom a picture of this steak that she was eating. She was actually eating the steak that they call the Dunlap, because I get it so much. It's the Delmonico steak. And She said, I can't believe it. Like they named this steak after Alex, and it's the best steak I've ever had. And you can just tell, like Darren cooked it up, and they're right there for her, and like had put all the sides and stuff like he does, and all the like. That's what they do there. It's you guys haven't had anything like it. There's no vaccines in this meat, no antibiotics, no hormones, no shots, and just nothing but bovine nutritionists there on staff to make sure that these animals live the most beautiful life that they possibly can. Go to Texas Beef Traders, get your 10% off. You get 10% off whenever you tell me you've heard about them here. And if you can't make it into Lakeway, that's fine. If you live in the Austin area, just call up there, call Darren, go through an order with them. Take your 10% off. It'll be cheaper than the grocery store. The meat you're getting at the grocery store is not local, and it's probably not from America. Call Darren, get your 10% off. He'll just bring it to your house. Just bring it to your house. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Thanks so much to our great sponsors over there. We'll throw up this Poncho Outdoors thing right now. Cody, I'm about to have some great photos from my kids. My kids had a baptism ceremony yesterday. And both my pastor and me that were there, my pastor was doing the actual dunking in this thing, right? But he wanted me to be down there with him, right? And we're both wearing our poncho Western shirts, right? He was wearing the one, I think it was the Siesta Key he was wearing. I was wearing my favorite brown one, and I just know that it's going to be, as soon as I get these pictures back from the church, I'm sending it into Poncho for photos of the month. So thanks very much to Poncho for being such great sponsors. And I know they sponsor the Outsiders too. And I think the Outsiders are on a little bit later tonight. I'll be interested to hear what Chance Mock has to say about this quarterback situation. So make sure and tune in to our good friends at the Outsiders for all that. All right. Do you want to talk about, there's a couple of things I wrote down, man. I wanted to maybe talk with you about the Iowa State AD is saying that they can't afford to stay in the Big 12.
Oh, really?
Did you see this?
No, I've been working on my truck, and honestly, I came in and looked at these two offensive tackles, and that's it. I haven't seen what is this. I heard there was something coming down potentially from the White House regarding this college NIL stuff, and I was like, "What?" I didn't.
Well, they're talking about I mean, I think that they're talking about some kind of executive order because Trump talked to Saban whenever he was down there at the commencement speech for Alabama. I don't know the commencement speech something. And I guess, those two are friends or whatever. And, Saban has his ideas about NIL. And I saw that Stuart Mandel at about 5:03 today put up an article on The Athletic about it. And I scrolled down to the bottom. I'm like, okay, this subject involving these people, this thing, I scroll right down to the comments section just to see what everybody was saying. It said no comments. I go, how are there no comments
about
Trump and Saban? No, dude. The article, it literally just I might have been the first one reading it. I'll bet you.
And you could have been first.
I should have done it.
Now you're gonna go on that thing. It's gonna have 1,000.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about that stuff about a possible executive order. But
so what about these Cyclones?
Okay, so dude, I think it's so interesting. Can I just share my screen and just play this? It's only like a minute and 30 clip.
Yeah, play it.
Okay, hold on. So I'll just share the Orange Bloods page here.
Who is it?
His name is Jamie Pollard. Oh, no.
Good evening.
Sorry. That's the wrong one.
Iowa State does not have that $20 million. But if we don't pay it for this coming, Iowa State does not have that $20 million. But if we don't pay it for this coming year, we've got big problems. All right? So we're going to pay it. Now, because of tremendous financial discipline and everything we've worked on over the last 20 years, our athletics program had a pretty substantial cash reserve that we built up. And we used that reserve during COVID, so we didn't cost Iowa State, we didn't cost the student body, we didn't cost the Board of Regents a dime to get through COVID. The University of Iowa got a $60 million loan from the university. Athletics program did. Now, they haven't paid a dime of that back yet, but they got a $60 million loan. We did not take a loan. We funded it from our reserve, right? We can't fund the $20 million, in about 2 years, we'll be out of the reserve. So Iowa State University will be faced with an athletics program with a huge annual deficit if it wants to stay in the Big 12 and if it wants to have a P4 athletics program. Now, we can decide we just want to have an athletics program like Northern Iowa, but that's going to have a huge economic impact on the state, on Central Iowa, on the city of Ames, and on this institution. And so that's the problem that we're staring at. And so you started, and I was going to come back and ask you this. You started by saying, fundamentally, I'm for the student athletes should be getting paid. Okay. So what if Iowa State says, because Arizona State has put $50 million into the athletics program on an annualized basis. Okay. You picked the program. I can tell you what the number is. Okay. Iowa State's is 0 because that's the Board of Regents policy.
Can you?
Okay.
Dude.
So what would you feel as a fellow student if Iowa State did what Virginia Tech just did? Virginia Tech implemented a student fee that's generating close to $20 million a year, and they're going to use that fee to pay their student athletes. So,
Okay, so all right, so I can unshare that.
That's what I would do if I was a student. I'd be like rolling that middle finger up. I'd be holding. You ain't gonna take my money. But here's the thing. First thing comes to my mind when I see that. Hear that. First off, great rivalry jab at the fact that Iowa has a $60 million loan and hasn't paid it back. Great jab by the AD there. Number 2 is he said Arizona State, and then I'm going to say Texas Tech. When this thing splits, and it's the power conferences, it's the 2 power conferences, and everybody else is looked at as a G level, G level schools, or it turns into FCS, and then there's just 2 conferences. Texas Tech and Arizona State are going to be 2 of the teams that jump into that power conference. And schools like Iowa State that aren't willing to spend. And
how does their Board of Regents not give their athletic department any money? They've had to do this stuff where they've had to they have not been able to, like, Texas, like, its sports revenue, it reinvests it, so almost all of it right back in, right? It's like
you have to be good at sports though to make money, right?
Right. I mean, Iowa State, I mean, they've been kind of good.
That was their first ever 10-win season last year.
Yeah, but I mean, right. But I mean, ever since Matt Campbell is just probably just like, what the heck, man? My AD's talking about Northern Iowa.
Well, Matt Campbell's been in the float the last 5 years of, like, if a Bama job opens up, if one of these big jobs opens up, it was like Matt Campbell's name was going to be into that thing, right? And he was always like, no, I'm going to build this thing up. Now, What does that do? And he's like, well, we're not going to spend money. Well, what's keeping Matt Campbell there?
That should be a wake up call to Matt Campbell to say, man,
Yes.
I got to jump ship. I got to get on somewhere where they're going to have my back. I think that he's like, it felt for a while there that Matt Campbell had lost a kind of a little bit of the sheen. Right, maybe just for a little while there. I'd have to go back and look and see what Iowa State's exact records were for a few years there.
It's like 7 wins.
Yeah, right? but still, that's still kind of good. Like, it's been they've been
getting swamped by Iowa for the last decade. That's their thing.
Well, right, but dude, oh gosh, and Iowa State fans are going to turn their nose up at Matt Campbell. Like, are you kidding? He could go some, dude. He could go some. He doesn't even. If you were him, would you take the worst job in the SEC over Iowa State? Would you take Vandy?
Would I take Vandy or Mississippi State over Iowa State?
Yeah.
I'd take Arkansas.
Oh, I mean, you could.
Matt Campbell could win at Arkansas.
It would be.
And think about this. Gone this year.
It's the kind of place where you can kind of wake up a pseudo kind of sleeping giant. You know what I mean?
Pittman could be gone after this year. That's a perfect spot if Matt Campbell decides to.
That's actually that. I'm not sure is somebody that covers a team that's going to have to play Arkansas a bunch that I would really want that too much.
No, I don't think you want that at all.
Yeah. I think the kid, dude, if he has enough, is Rocco Beck done after this next year?
Yeah.
And that's so I'm not sure that he's as good a prospect as some people are making him out to be, but
Some people love him for whatever reason.
yeah, I get it. But
Technically, he's got 2 years he can play.
he's the kind of guy that might stick around, right?
He's got 30 games under his belt.
Yeah, but he's one of these guys that's really who knows? Maybe he will be. It'll like his development will come full. You know what I mean? It's like he's one of these guys that's really gotten better with his development, right? You figure maybe if you want to stay another year just to be as pro ready as possible. He's got a dad who obviously is a longtime NFL veteran, and Anthony Becht, who is the head coach of your St. Louis Battlehawks. But dude, Iowa State's been they've been turn every year they turn out NFL guys. Think about it. All the tight end Charlie Kolar, and then recently, and Xavier Hutchinson, and Breece Hall, and Will Campbell, and or not Will Campbell,
Will McDonald,
and Jalen Knoll, and Jaden Higgins, and they've had a bunch of these dudes.
Brock Purdy.
Who was the corner? TJ Tampa.
Yep.
They've had some guys. Matt Campbell needs to get out of there, dude. And the other thing is that I found interesting is that he's saying he doesn't want to charge the students like Virginia Tech.
Yeah, because it's think about what I mean. This is a big conversation, but school's not cheap, dude. I mean, you've obviously went to school a decade ago, and you're gonna have kids going to school in a couple of years. Like, it ain't. It's obnoxious. It's obnoxious, and it's only getting worse and worse by the year. And it's like adding on. There are already sports fees, athletic fees for people that don't play sports, and it's like they're just adding.
I never even looked at the breakdown of my bills.
It's stupid.
I just kind of paid it.
I think everybody does, yeah. But it's like,
yeah, no. Well, fair enough.
I think more people would. I think exactly what you just said. Nobody really looks at it, but if you went and looked at it, more than likely, I would bet money. Even that. What year did you graduate?
03? 03, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a long time ago, but
it's been 20 years, 22 years.
Yeah. I would, I'd be interested to see if you went back and you looked at it, if there was like some kind of like athletic fee or like something.
I'm not sure, man, because for mine, I think each of my classes was like only like $1,800.
Yeah, but there's school fees and stuff, right? On top of it. And it's like, you break down that school fee. There's just so many. I wouldn't be shocked, dude. Because I didn't go to like Minnesota or I went to a state school, but it wasn't like a Division I, FBS level. It was FCS, and it was like, and we had athletic fees, and it was just no one ever said anything about it. That was also pre-NIL and all this crap. I think when you start talking about like, oh, Virginia Tech added on this, like, yeah, I think they're just trying to get more and more money. It's like you just looking the wrong locations. The thing is built, in my opinion, and I know David Keith Williams has the question here. He's like, if what you said about the manifestation of 2 power conferences, blah, 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 blah. It's like the thought behind that is the teams with the money, the schools that make the money, the schools that win, and the schools that, they're continually selling 100,000 seat stadiums week after week. And every sport, there's at least something successful from your school. Like, that's what separates you and puts you in those conferences. It's not the fact that you're, just because you are, Cal doesn't mean you deserve to be in the Power 2 conference because you're Cal. If you don't win and if you don't make money and you don't spend money, you don't get you shouldn't, you know what I'm saying?
Like, that's kind of it's like, are you like, do you care about athletics? Like, or like,
yeah,
right? It's like, you can't just, it's like we understand you're a great big school and like you're what Cal isn't that kind of like I guess Stanford's more like the West Coast Ivy League, but isn't Cal kind of like that too? Cal
Yeah, Cal
Berkeley,
is too. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like maybe you just want to be in an academic school. It's fine, just go do it. But like no, I totally get it. I wanted to we need to talk about before we get off here about the Texas offer to Aaron Thomas, the Arizona offensive tackle. And look, I've watched him. He's big, tall, slender though. Just
Yeah.
kind of an interesting player. Moves really well. Fluid athlete. Fluid mover. He's a take all the way. Just because you can tell he moves. Maybe can play a little bit high. Can waist bend a little bit at times. But from what I was reading on him, from what people were saying on X and stuff like that, apparently he's kind of new to offensive line. I think he played defensive end or something before. So it's kind of new to it. It's like that being the case. There's a lot of pass pro reps in there where I think he's got a nice glide as far as his kick. Yeah. He looks good with it. Seems to be able to move well in all directions. Really relaxed play strength right now. Relies a little bit more on leverage in the run game than he does pure just dominating. Downhill mauler type of stuff. But I think with those long arms, that big body, the way he can fill out, if he's already weighing close to 300 pounds with that, I look at a guy that's going to be like a rock sturdy, like take your shirt off at the lake and have muscles, kind of 325, 330 pound player. And if that's the case, that's certainly an appealing sort of, future left tackle prospect. I think he's top 50 or so in the whole nation.
38.
What?
38.
Borderline 5-star. So
no. 38 at the position.
Oh, okay. Not 30.
He's not even top 250 guy. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. But he's got to be a 4. He's got to be a 4-star.
He's a 4-star, yeah, but they don't have a national.
Low 4?
Huh?
A low 4?
Yeah, 5'8", low 4. Third player in the state, 38th overall at the position in the country.
What is he in the state of Arizona?
Number 3 in the state of Arizona. He's not a top 250 guy in America, though.
So I was getting it mixed up. What I was thinking was impressive. He was third best in the state of Arizona, but it's clearly not 38th in the nation.
30th in the nation at the position. Not ranked. Yeah, they just didn't have the other ranking there, so that's probably what threw you off.
Okay, so to me, he's a 100% take all the way. My question is, what does this mean for Ojo? Because he was at Colorado, Crimpin, Turrentine. We know that they need tackles. There's only 4 on the team right now. Like, do you think this is just one of they're just having to throw the spaghetti against the wall right now and just hope they get 3 of them because they already have Maximus Wright.
Yeah. Ojo was at Michigan today, I believe I saw as well. So he's at Colorado over the weekend. I think he was at Michigan practice today. I think that's the first thing that came to my mind was there's got to be a little bit of worry. Again, he's this kid, Aaron Thomas, is not viewed in the same light or close to the same light right now nationally. Like I said, he's not even a top 250 kid. I think he profiles like an even low. Hell yeah.
I was graduating college in 2003. Cody might have still been crapping in his diapers in 2000.
I was in first grade.
Thank you for fighting the good fight, David Keith Williams. And thank you for your service, brother.
Yeah, he's not even a top 250 kid. So technically he's ranked lower than where Max Wright was when he committed to Texas. And now Max Wright has completely he shot way up the rankings. I want to say he's at was he tackle 12? Tackle 9 in America. Max Wright is right now, which is top.
It's a little 20. It's probably a little too high, but maybe he's got. I don't know.
I think Max is again massive human being, 6'7", 285. This almost the same frame listed on Rivals as Aaron Thomas is. I think Aaron Thomas is a better athlete. I graded Aaron Thomas today higher than I have Maximus Wright.
I think I would too, man. I'm just saying, and that's not that I don't like Maximus Wright. And I need to go back.
I like Max Wright.
Again. Yeah. I think Aaron Thomas, dude. I think he's got something there to him. I think he does, dude.
So this
He moves different, dude. He moves different, and he's not. He can play a little. He's a tiny waist bending a tiny bit, but he's gonna get better with it, dude. He's just big and tall.
So right before we got on air, I've literally kind of cheated because Alex hasn't had the time to watch this kid, but this other kid from Arizona, I'll just say this. We'll talk about him more tomorrow. Jake Hildebrand was just offered. He's a 2027 tackle, number 3 tackle in America in 2027. This kid's got sand in his shorts. This kid's he's got some chops. He looks like Riley Reef, dude. Like he's got that like lower body density. This kid looks good. I want to watch a little bit more of this kid.
He might end up being on the cover tomorrow. Although I do have an article going up tomorrow about Levon Johnson and some findings that I have from him after doing some all 22 work today. So we'll get into that. We'll get into some of this other stuff, like what Quinn Ewers' agent said that I couldn't believe. We can also talk about Chris Stewart's NIL visit because or Chris Stewart's SMU visit because there's some stuff from that I find real interesting. We got a bunch that we still need to get to. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. Thanks so much to our great sponsors, Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, who, by the way, have a new commercial out here. Let's go ahead and play it for you.
Shop Specs! It's time to celebrate. Over 10,000 wines to appreciate. 300 beers, savings, and cheers. Let's raise a glass to the next 50 years.
Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. World-class service, that's all about you. Shop Specs!
It's how we do. A huge selection since 62.
Shop Specs!
Low priced, amazing. Here's to you.
It's like that Grease Lightning.
Thanks to Specs, thanks to Texas Beef Traders, thanks to Poncho Outdoors, thanks to our good friends, MyPerfectFranchise.net, Andy Ludicky. We can't thank all of them enough for helping us to just do the show every night. We're here every night from 6 to 7 p.m. We couldn't do it without you guys. We're here watching live, almost 800 of you across Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thank you guys for being here live, and thanks to the 99% of you who will be watching this on Tuesday, or Wednesday or whatever else, man. We can tell you how much we appreciate it. We just ask for 4 things. We'd like to get in, get out, talk football, not waste your time. So this is the only time that we ask for it. Please like the show. Please subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time watching the show, please come back and watch us again. And if you have a friend you think might like the show, please forward it to them. Let them know what we're doing here because we want to continue growing it. And we want to continue going big coming into the next football season. You guys have helped us to grow the show even during the off season. It's been wild. So thank you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow. We love you all very much. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.